welcome back to another new edition of Windows and Current Affairs. And today we embark on a very important issue. Probably it is the issue of the time or issue of the hour worldwide. Of course, the Palestinian crisis and how the occupation forces are oppressing, killing, and committing genocidal crimes against humanity, killing children and women, and airstriking the unarmed innocent civilians everywhere and anywhere, and breaking international law in every possible way. But the most important thing in that particular incident of what's happening in Gaza right now and the occupied Palestinian territory is that the Israeli forces have put the people in Gaza under entire blockade. They are blockading the whole of Gaza and also putting them under siege. I mean, they're cutting off water, food, any utilities, whatever, electricity, and on top of all, internet, so that they won't have access to social media to post what's happening, to bring a transparent and true image of the exact thing happening on the ground. However, in spite of all that, every crime was committed in Gaza, was documented perfectly fine for the whole world to see on social media, and this is going to be our topic. The role of artificial intelligence, how important is it? How important is it to establish your own app on social media and to be not biased, to be transparent, and to establish such an app or establish such a service for the sake of humanity, for the sake of transparency and awareness worldwide, and not for any interest, any personal interest. And of course, this is going to be the talk of the coming maybe 2 or 3 decades coming up, because artificial intelligence is going to prevail. And as we have seen in this incident of the Palestinian crisis, artificial intelligence have helped in a huge, amazing way to reveal what's happening in Gaza, in spite of the siege and the blockade. We're very delighted to be having with us our dear guest, Professor Wael Badawy, member of Research Council Communication and Information Technology, ASRT, and professor at the school of one of the prominent universities here in Egypt. Good evening, Dr. Badawy. And probably we needed you so much for this episode, because sometimes you need explicit events to draw your attention to something as equally important to those explicit events, which is the role of artificial intelligence. How important is it becoming in our lives as a start?
Good evening, and thank you for having me again here. I believe trying to classify and understand how events are happening and try to get the gist of it, you need artificial intelligence. We have been watching over the last week or two that the Israeli authority released photos was made by deepfake. And these photos, they claim this is a child or infant, Israeli infant, who have been burned. And with one software detecting the deepfake impact, it reveals it was a dog, and somebody with deepfake transferred it to something else and showed this photo. And even I believe the US authorities and government apologized that they produced this piece of information, trusting the Israeli government.
They should also apologize if they are burning a dog, because animals have rights, and they, as a nation, they claim that they respect rights.
This was not a dog burn. This just was a photo of a dog under a blanket, and the deep fake transferred it to something else, and then they went out and they claimed.
So it was artificial intelligence all made.
A deep fake photo. The photo presented to the deep fake was made by a computer. So if you want to understand what can you do with AI, you can basically invert or confuse the fact with something you'd like. It can align with whatever you want to say outside.
Are you trying to say that I can mix between reality and imagination and make it reality? I mean, we keep seeing that.
This is what exactly
We keep seeing
happened.
that in posts, people speaking. I mean, we want you to, first of all, before delving into the Palestinian crisis and exactly our topic, which is revealing the truth over social media because of artificial intelligence, in spite of the blockade and everything. Artificial intelligence is becoming so unbelievable because it crosses, I mean, it would, you might, while you are browsing over social media, you might see someone who is dead and he's talking. I mean, that is an imaginable character and that is being, applicated on a image of someone. Explain to us, how does that happen?
The fact is, you can create a photo and edit photos with computer and bring somebody tones from a previous recording and regenerating this recording as new phonetic with a well-crafted, well-guided text, and then put it on another app. It's not an app, it's a type of a technology called deepfake. So this technology will mix the vocal with the photos and start to synchronize lips movement and few movement of a body to give you an impression of a real person. This kind of technology, it can perceive public and it can also perceive experts. So this kind of technology, you can read, write the fact and the truth to your own will and your own truth. This is where computers became now very powerful. And this technology is not new, by the way. The new thing is you have enough processing power to produce higher level of details. So you have a high grade, high level of details. So you feel like it's almost reality. It's almost real. So this is where we live right now. So it's very straightforward that you can block somebody and then show the alternative which you want to watch or you want to demonstrate to serve a specific agenda or a specific messages. It has been one of the concerns in, for example, in the election in the USA, last election. There are some notation that there are some media have been driven in a way. Same noise or same messages we heard about the Canadian elections. That some groups have been putting more emphasis on specific messages, so these messages will be spread over, and then you try to drive the public interest, drive the individual decisions into what do you like. So this is where we have to stop and ask how we can stop or control or manage this kind of, I cannot say it, untruthful presentations, but this is where we live right now.
Right, let's talk about the pros and cons of this new modern technique or sophisticated, intelligent technique. Of course, it's going to save, to serve some kind of good deal of a service for humanity, no doubt. But at the same time, we could look at some other, I mean, not minor, but some other side issues like identity theft, for example, in banks. As politicians, as trying to set up something bad for someone else, and so many other complicated issues. So how is that going to be regulated? And before coming up to the world, introducing that particular technique to the world, we should have issued some legislation to organize these things and regulate them, some laws to be able to protect the rights of people.
Yes, this topic is very complicated, so if you want to simplify it first, we can talk about someone who lives in the virtual world. So you basically have your social media username and password, and I believe all the audience now understand what is username and password. Then you have your bank account with username and password. Then you will have your credit card where you add all the information about the back 3 digits, the date and stuff like that with a username and password. Majority of the technologies right now, you have a fingerprint or a face identification to release this information. After one step, you will make, you want to go somewhere, so on specific apps, you can book a ride and the app will come. We don't want to say names of apps, so we just make it an app. So you call a rider, so the rider will come and pick you from a location to another. Then you have a birthday party on a social media. So your friends, your brothers and sisters and your relatives, your loved ones will start to get engaged with your ID. So what you are building, what we call it a virtual avatar or a twin. They call it virtual twin or a twin, which lives in the digital space. You live in the real space. So somebody living in the real space, how we can protect his right from the digital space? Digital space, when it be activated with artificial intelligence, it may make a decisions. So for example, it will pay your bills on time. It will tell you that the forecast of your bills will be that much at the end of the month, try to reduce the bills. So many of us will automatically program their computers to pay the bill before the due date. This practice...
Without even interfering?
Without even interfering. Like this is
That's
current
great.
practice in all banks. So we wrote a story in one of the newspaper here and said, imagine that the virtual twin or your avatar will survive, and then the owner of the avatar will pass away or will die in a car accident. So this avatar has all the rights to use electronic signature, banks, and every single thing. So now, how we can identify a law to say that the death certificate of a living being will be reflected in a digital world, given that we don't own and we don't have the restrictions around this particular digital world, because digital world do not belong to Egypt territories.
But
So
it might have some international law that is
and we don't have this international laws right now. I know that the UNESCO and the United Nations right now are looking at this digital identity theft from perspective of people do not steal it and mimic they are somebody else or personate the identity. However, it's more than this identity. Like twin who will live in a digital world, and then the human being or the living substance have been passed away. We wrote stories about people can fall in love because eventually it will have his voice. It will talk to him, understand, so basically it can reflect. So we have been trying to create awareness around the strengths of this particular digital identity or digital twin. So people have to be cautious that before you use this technology, understand what does it mean cybersecurity, what does it mean privacy, how much you can engage in this different environments. So this is the extent of this particular twinning technology. If you want to map this twinning technology to who can control it, owners can control it, people who made these programs available to us can control it. And we have to also realize that when somebody gives us something free as valuable as this kind of technology, there's an exchange of value from us.
What is it?
Sometimes it's our purchasing behavior. Sometimes it's our lifestyle. So they can push some advertisement toward what we need from our lifestyle. For example, if you have a car of a specific brand, they will give you accessories for this vehicle. If you plan to go trips annually to a specific place, like Northern Coast, like Alamein, they will start to show you advertisement for Alamein hotels, Alamein recreation facilities. So they will try to push you. So profiling you and know what do you like and what do you hate, the simplest way is to provide information that may serve your interest. Later on, they can get into controlling you by pushing some concepts and some ideas. We always have a say in digital media in particular that they will push what you like to read because they know what kind of material you consume. So if you like to read about Mo Salah and different football, soccer games, you'll see more soccer games are coming in your field.
Exactly, in the research.
So basically when you search, they know what media you cut, what kind of media you type of consuming. So they push you more consuming because they have only one goal. Keep you more time on these windows, don't change the app, and get more and more so they can push more advertisement. If we look at the different environment where they play video, they will give you related videos. And the related videos...
That happens all the time.
That happens all the time.
And we as normal people, I mean, we're not very experts on these issues. We keep wondering, is somebody, I mean, keeping an eye on us, somebody's spying on us, somebody's watching us, because you talk over the phone on one issue or topic, and the next minute, when you browse over social media, you find an ad that is related to that. We need to discuss that, but let's have a short break, and we'll come to this to discuss this particular very important point. Welcome back. We're still with a very interesting, breathtaking topic, which is the artificial intelligence and its role in our lives. And amazing surprises are going to be revealed by our prominent guest, Professor Dr. Wael Badawy. Is member of Research Council on Communication Information Technology, and also a professor at the School of Artificial Intelligence, of course, at one of the prominent universities too. He is telling us things that could be hard to believe, but they are facts and truth. Let us first answer the question that I asked you.
Okay.
And don't forget to get into what you told me when we were on the
sure.
in a break.
So the question is how a social media platform, or many of them, will understand that you have a phone call and discuss a matter like going to a trip, and then you start to see advertisement. So if you carefully when you install this particular platform, it asks you for a consent. The consent will be to the extent of this language you allow to watch other applications. So when you allow a social media app to watch and borrow information from other applications, one of the applications is the microphone app of your phone. One of the applications is the phone. When you dial, you click an application called phone. Usually is a green button with a phone handle.
What's wrong with it?
You allow an app to watch and listen for another app. So basically, I'm allowing the social media app here to my right to connect and listen to my microphone app. Using AI, it will transfer your vocal into text, into keywords, and guess what? It knew now the keywords that you need to know about it as advertisement. So it's basically spying on you. Who made the consent is you, the user, because you did not read the fine print and it say accept all terms. Yes. Exactly,
but how can they overhear my phone calls? I mean, one app is overhearing the other phone call. I mean, are there any qualifications, any elements in that particular app? We're not going to mention any names of apps, but it's overhearing or eavesdropping on my phone calls.
Well, how the technology works, to answer this question, how the technology works. You have basically a microphone. We'll take the vibration of your voice, make it as digital information, ones and zeros for people who understand ones and zeros in computers. It will be stored in the memory temporarily. So it will be transferred. The voice. It will be stored in your memory. Recording. And no, without recording, just I'm alive now. Then these bits or this representation will be transferred through the antenna to the tower to the other destination. What you will do here is you are actually getting images of this memory, so you have the same information. Because
where do I have it?
In your in the phone in your hand.
I mean in the other app.
In the other app. So the other app will
Who receives it?
Both apps will be accessed the same buffer. We call it buffer. We don't call it memory block or memory blocks. Yeah. So the app will understand the buffer. It can get to a dangerous level because you may consent in some of these consents to that the phone, the new app will control the phone. At this point, the app will deliberately open microphone or open cameras because you give the consent. So suddenly you find the app.
I mean directed from
the app itself.
But it won't be doing it from itself. I mean directed from distance.
Yes. There is a famous vocal command in different phones without names, and you say hi so and so. If we say the name, you'll know it's phone. Hi so and so. Can you find this address, please? And then the address will come to the map. How a phone without any touch, standing on the table, when you say hi, the name of the app, it will open up for you, because the phone is always listening to the surrounding. So many times on our computers, we have a different brands and the...
But we won't mention any name.
Yeah, we don't mention any name. Sometimes on our computers, the same app exists. So suddenly when you touch something wrong, you find this computer talking back to you, trying to answer the question.
Exactly, exactly.
And they say, hi, I didn't get your question. Can you repeat again? I did not mean to ask a question. If you understand these scenarios, you will realize and conclude that the phone is constantly listening to your voice. And funny enough, when you buy a new phone, you will train the phone to understand the phonetics of your voice, so it will transfer it to text effectively, efficiently to understand you. And suddenly you put the phone on the side, it's lunchtime, the phone will listen, you feel like you want to eat chicken or soup, and suddenly you will find an advertisement of chicken and soups coming to you because you give this information. So we as a user provide this consent unwillingly to accept the results because we don't read what exactly we accept when we install every app, because they made it good enough to be like 10, 20 screens, and nobody has time to scroll down for 10 or 20.
Or they make it obligatory. You don't have the choice to to oppose it. If you do not agree, then you won't be able to install the app.
Unfortunately, majority of the programs, if you don't accept all cookies, if you don't accept all conditions, they will tell you, sorry dear, you have a limited functionality app, or please, I'm deleting myself. So this kind of know-how, it needs to be translated to the standard users, not expert, nobody, just simple user who know how to open a phone, can afford to buy the phone, install the app, and guess what? He has to be aware of that. So when we look at these technologies, you realize that having so many apps is actually not an advantage. It can be dangerous. So when you say a phone is spying on me, yes, it can. The more dangerous, it actually can turn on cameras. That's why so many of us will basically have a black tape on the camera. And when we'd like to do like communication with students for virtual classroom or virtual meetings, we take this tab out. And there are actually, in the market right now, there are some small pieces of plastic which they close the opening of the camera. So you stick it on the camera and you can have a slider and you slide in and out. So we recommend that, because these are not expensive, even having just a black tape, because you don't want to be taped, you don't want to be recorded without knowing. If you consent to it, you have to consent at the moment. When you get new updates for this new application, majority of the time will be new privacy rules and laws in the country which produces this.
Was going to be a second question, yeah.
Like in USA, for example, the app coming from United States of America, in USA they changed the privacy law. So the app now will give you a new privacy law acceptance. But this app, it can knew everything. We take advantage when we need some help and support. However, we don't feel comfort when somebody is always watching our voice, because our voice is actually invasive of privacy. Taking photos of you in the street is not invasive, but listening to you, it's a privacy concern.
Of course. We're going to go again to another short break to take our breath, because these are lots of surprises, but it's all true. And we're going to come back with Dr. Badawy, so please make sure that you join us. Welcome back. We're back with our very interesting topic, of course, the most interesting of all, especially that it explains lots and lots of facts in the time we're living right now. And we forgot all about, before we delve into the detail, let us talk about, in spite of cutting all services, electricity, water, and on top of them, of course, internet and social media over Palestinian, the Gaza residents. However, everything was revealed to the whole world. How do you justify that? I mean, what exactly was happening, and why did they insist on separating them from the whole world? And the first step they took is that to cut off internet and social media over Palestinians.
Cutting off internet and social media, you cut off the largest pipe. So if you understand the value of an internet or a social media, imagine you have multiple pipes for water coming to your house. The biggest pipe is the internet, because you can compact and send so much information to it. Most likely, and how we get internet in anywhere, we get them through the tower communication of mobile phones, like the mobile towers, or we get them through satellites. So satellite can have a direct connection that you cannot cut. So majority of the information that's streamed outside most likely will be coming on satellite phone. There are so many brands for them. They are prohibited in Egypt, by the way, and it's actually a criminal act if you hold one of them, because the countries which is like to regulate this kind of communication, they give it just in the hand of specific individuals in the government who can be trusted to use this technology, which is we appreciate. So majority of the information came through social media from them, most likely will be coming through towers in other countries, surrounding borders, or through direct satellite communication. There is no other way.
I mean, is the satellite phone.
The satellite phone.
What exactly, how is it different from any other phone? Why is it so dangerous?
It's so dangerous, or is not welcomed, because our regulators cannot control the amount of information on it. It give you, nobody can monitor who you call and why. So, because you connected directly to these satellites. So the owners of the satellite, we can route the message different places. And we use this kind of communication in rural areas, in areas when you have oil and gas discovery, and you are in the nowhere, in the Sahara, or inside unpopulated areas where you have no
and it's
signals.
not affected by the, absence of networks and
yes.
It can operate?
It's not affected by absence of network. So anyone working in oil field in discovering new wells, most likely
right in the middle of oceans and everywhere.
Yes, middle of oceans. They are in Sahara. They are middle of wood. They are in unpopulated.
And there is no network whatsoever.
There is no network. So usually this companies which work in this discovery will have a license, because it can monitor its own employees, so they can communicate back. Also, in North America and in Europe, when you have north-south pipelines, and they have control technology on it to control the pipe, to open the flow and control the flow, the only way to communicate with these pipes will be satellite communication, because you cannot afford having different other communication. And usually it's one of two, either fiber optics along the pipe, which give you some kind of connectivity, or satellite communication. So this communication exists. It has its use in industry, and it also can be used for sending messages out when you have no internet.
Right, but cutting, in the age we're living now, in 2023, cutting off internet and social media and electricity over someone is violating human rights, because in the age we're living, and with digitalization and new technology, we depend on vital issues that is, articulated and executed through social media, through internet, and through electricity. So could this be a war crime?
I believe it may reach a humanity crime, because one of the issues we always warn societies from is dependency on technology. So now we became very dependent on technology which did not exist 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So this dependency is what you see right now, because when we use this kind of information, we are dependent on it, it becomes our rights. It becomes something we are used to it. So I will agree with you, it's not classified yet as a humanity or anti-humanity crime, but it's really it's really a crime, because you basically prevent people from getting truth, real news, and also you prevent them from vocaling their voice. They have a way to express it's a freedom of expression that you would look.
And you're violating the terms of transparency also, but because we're running out of time, also we need to talk about something very important, which is in a world that is dominated by that, all rules, all laws should be changed and effected from the beginning.
We discuss, in different authorities here we work with, we discuss this kind of regulations and laws around AI, digitalization, and digital world, and we always come to one conclusion. how you will enforce these rules and regulations. Because having rules and regulation is a fantasy. It becomes into organization once you can apply them and you can punish. So if the companies which provide this technology are not within your control, they are not within your laws, how you will impose on them what they have to follow? And this will bring the biggest question we discussed before is, when is the time that we will have our own social media? When is the time that we will have our own AI, artificial intelligent engines, algorithms, programs, so our new generation will learn how to use them, how to program them, and then our society can use them without censor, without prohibition, without any...
I guess China have already done that.
China and Russia, they do have some essence of it. They do have their own social media. They have different name platforms. They have their own communication. And it's very difficult. Like, I know major companies, they have to start a headquarters in China to be able to tap into this market, because this Chinese market is huge because of the number of Chinese. The same in Russia. They have their own social media platform, and they stream so many things on it. So this is always a question for me, is that, or a hope that we may one day having...
I guess by this time we realized how much we need to establish our own social networks and our own apps over social media and all that.
Yes, and this is always in all my presentation and my interviews, I always try to highlight this, because we sensed it 10, 15 years ago. We sense that we are phased out because somebody's controlling our voice.
Exactly.
They can limit the access to different tags, different keywords. They can limit the access based on our location, our global positioning or GPS location. They can protect, they can also limit it, because when we sign in, we say which country and where are we coming from, which is our phone number. Sometimes also they ask you to put your ID there. So imagine you go to one of these social media and you take a photo of your ID or passport to verify you are a living person, and you give it to them for free. So all of this information need to be controlled as a term of privacy. And our government here, they are brilliant and taking steps ahead, because we have new laws coming for privacy and protection of privacy. And we are looking at the time when we start to activate it by having the second level, which is an explanation law that can allow us to apply these laws. But this is one of the current time questions, is when we can have this privacy and control this technology.
Hopefully, since we're starting to talk to it as if it's becoming reality, hopefully, inshallah, by the next time you will be coming over to Windows and Current Affairs, we would have one step ahead, inshallah.
We hope so.
Hopefully, of course, on this very optimistic note, Professor Dr. Wael Badawy, you are a member of Research Council on Communication and Information Technology. You're also a professor at the School of Artificial Intelligence in one of the prominent universities here in Egypt. I'd like to thank you so much for coming over, sharing this valuable information.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.